I just can't afford $1,000. I mean, I'd have to sell my house, and I bought the house specifically for location to be closer to my daughter. And I would like the court to bear in mind that Kristen moved away with the child. We had 50-50 custody and everything was fine. It's hard to believe that I would have to pay for her to move away and see my child less.
The interest of Bailey Page Howie on the state suit for modification of child support order.
Your Honor, parties have agreed that the child will remain on Mr. Howie's health and dental insurance. The state calculated credits for that in the amount of $278 a month for the cost for the child for medical, and $216 a month is the cost for the child for dental. Using those credits and Mr. Howie's income, the state calculated guideline child support for one child with no additional children to be $1,008 a month. The state's understanding is that Mr. Howie does not agree with that calculation, Your Honor.
Ma'am, is that your understanding of the issues before the court today?
Mine?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you in agreement that dad will continue carrying medical and dental for the child?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you in agreement with the cost associated with it for the child?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you requesting guideline support to be set today?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you agree with the state's calculations based on dad's income for that, for those amounts?
Yes, I do.
Is there anything else that you wanted to ask the court for regarding the child support or the medical or dental?
No, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howie, is that an accurate assessment of the issues before the court today? Not that you agree with it, but
right,
those are the issues.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
All right. And do you agree to continue providing medical and dental for the child?
Yes.
Do you agree that it costs you $278 per month for medical and $216 per month for dental for just your child's portion of it?
Yes.
And do you agree that the state calculated the guideline amount correctly?
I mean, I have no idea.
All right. Are you asking the court to calculate what guideline support should be?
No.
Not that you agree with guideline, but
I mean, can I go off cuff a little bit here, or do you just want me to start?
Well, I just want to know what you're requesting child support be set at, if you have reasons for deviations from guidelines.
Well, I just can't afford $1,000. I mean, I'd have to sell my house, and I bought the house specifically for location to be closer to my daughter. And I would like the court to bear in mind that Kristen moved away with the child. We had 50-50 custody and everything was fine in my eyes. It's hard to believe that I would have to pay for her to move away and see my child less. I understand that I do have an obligation, and I'm not denying that.
Is there an amount that you're asking the court to set it at?
I would be comfortable at like $400 a month, and I think Kristen could use that, and I think I think it could go a long way.
All right, then I will listen to the evidence and I will make a decision appropriate pursuant to what the Texas Family Code tells me I'm supposed to do. Is there anything else that you're requesting, sir?
That's all I'm requesting, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Carrie Campbell, you may proceed calling your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state would call Mr. Howie.
Okay.
Mr. Howie, are you currently employed?
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you work?
I work for a company called Chemfree that's owned by ABC Home and Commercial Services, or it may be under ABC Inc. It's a umbrella corp.
Okay. And did you make about $87,000 last year?
That sounds about right.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would offer into evidence State's Exhibit 1, which is a copy of Mr. Howie's last pay record for 2023.
Pay record?
Or I'm sorry, his pay stub. I apologize.
Is there any objection to State's Exhibit 1 coming into evidence, which is the pay stub from 2023, Mr. Howie?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Joyce,
No.
State's Exhibit 1 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And as stated, you are providing health insurance and dental insurance for the child, correct?
Correct.
And do you have any other children under the age of 18?
No, ma'am.
And do you have any expenses out of the ordinary?
Travel expenses for sure, because now I have to fly my child back and forth from Michigan to Texas, and once a year I also go up there to see her. Those expenses are high, to say the least. I probably spend in the realm of $5,000 or $6,000 a year doing that.
Okay, how many times did you see the child or did you fly the child in 2023?
In 2023, I've flown her. I've flown her back and forth 3 times and flown myself 1 time.
Okay. Do you have any medical expenses out of the ordinary?
No, ma'am.
And do you have anything else, out of the normal that we all don't have to pay?
Well, I mean, if we're comparing incomes, Kristen and myself, my expenses are quite larger than Kristen's are, being that she's in Texas or Michigan, and the cost
Okay.
of living is substantially less than Williamson County.
Okay, how much is your mortgage each month?
It's roughly $2,200 a month.
How much is does that include your insurance for the house?
Yeah, that's with mortgage, insurance, and taxes.
How much are your utilities?
My electric is about 150. I mean, it varies. I mean, it's Texas. In the wintertime, it's 100. In the summertime, it's closer to 200. Water's over $200 a month usually. Internet is $85 a month. I don't know what else,
Trash pickup?
that's included in water, with the city of Hutto.
Okay.
I apologize. I'm pretty taken off guard by this.
Do you have a vehicle that you make a payment on?
I don't have a truck payment. It's paid off. The insurance, which is probably comparable to Kristen's, I would imagine.
What is your monthly insurance for the car?
I think it's $120 a month, $130 a month, something like that.
How much is your grocery expense each month?
So, probably if Bailey's not here, I can keep it to a few $100s a month. If Bailey's here, as Kristen knows, it goes up quite a bit, and I understand that. It's probably going to be $400 or $500, probably $400 if I had to guess.
Okay. Do you have a credit card payment?
I do have credit card payments. It's about, all in all, probably $500 a month.
Okay. You have a gym membership?
I have a gym membership. It's not that bad. It's about $40 a month. I have payments on my 401 from paying off stuff. That's $70 a month.
Do you have any other reoccurring monthly expenses?
I have for my business that I do on the side, I have a trailer and that I rent out. It costs me about $700 a month for that. And I would say I bring in, if we were to average out the year, probably half that.
So you're doing a business that brings you $350 a year profit?
Yeah, obviously it's not going as well as I wanted it to.
All right. So besides the side business and your regular job, do you have any other sources of income?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And think we've covered.
I-
Okay.
I would like to use our AGIs for tax years as our income. I don't know if that's normal or if it's even considered, but to me that seems fair.
What is an AGI?
Adjusted gross income, like when you file
Okay.
your taxes, that's what the IRS says your taxable income is.
Okay. All right. Is there any other expenses that we did not cover?
Probably, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. I have solar panels. That's $90 a month. And currently they went down and the solar company is out of business, so I don't even get the benefit of the solar.
All right. So why is it that you're not in agreement with paying the guideline child support amount?
Well, I literally, I don't have $1,000 in disposable income a month. I mean, even if I was eating ramen every day, I don't see how I could afford to pay $1,000 a month. I mean, I would have to sell my house. And like I said, I literally bought this house to be closer to my child and to see my child. And Kristen left with my child, kind of on some false pretenses. I don't know if we need to get into it, but
Let's
you know,
No, we're not getting
I'm
into
sorry.
it. We're not
Okay,
getting into
that's
it.
fine.
Move on.
Okay, that's fine. But I mean, the fact is, I did buy a house to be close to my kid, and now she's taken my kid to Michigan. So I don't even, I get to see her a few times a year. And this, like, I'm not a dad that doesn't want to see my kid. I want to see my kid as much as possible. When she was here, I saw her every other week. It was, I mean, for me, it was perfect. I would spend a full week with her, and then she would go to her mom's house and spend a full week with her mom, and then come right back and spend a full week with me. And even though the time was 50-50, I was paying the insurance still. I was buying her clothes and her shoes and stuff for school and whatnot, and everything else we just kind of split. However, historically we worked well together and been able to figure things out. This is a new thing where I wasn't even given the opportunity to try to negotiate with her.
Ma'am, you need to stop making expressions. It's not appropriate.
I'm sorry.
No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Howie, is there any other reasons that you want the court to deviate from guidelines?
Not any other reasons. I think I've expressed everything.
Ms. Joyce, do you have any specific questions for Dad regarding the support issues?
No.
Anything further, Ms. Carrie Campbell?
No, Your Honor.
You may call your next witness.
The state would call Ms. Joyce.
You may proceed.
Ms. Joyce, do you have any personal knowledge about what Mr. Howie makes for his income?
No, I don't.
And do you have any idea what his personal information about his monthly expenses for?
No.
And are you in agreement with setting the support based on the Texas guideline support?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I don't have any additional questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Ma'am, is there anything else that you want to tell the court regarding the support issue?
Yes, this was how he said that he was blindsided by it. I've been here for almost 2 years. He agreed for us to move here. I didn't just take my child and leave. He signed an agreement that it would be 50-50. And I bought half of the plane tickets last year. This year, I stopped doing it. I did buy her plane ticket to return home at the end of the summer, but he didn't buy all those plane tickets. I bought half of them last year.
When you say last year, do you mean 2023?
2023, yes, ma'am. After we paid off the Invisalign, we both paid on that. I asked him to take over her phone bill. His response was, I thought this move was supposed to be financially better for you. That's the response I get if I ask for help. I recently asked for help for Bailey started driver's training, almost $500. He told me to send him an invoice and then refused to pay half of it because he said the court's going to make him pay half back child support. All I'm asking is for help for my child. Just because we moved doesn't mean he is not financially obligated.
Can you respond to his request for either a deviation for travel or respond to his request for $400 per month?
I'm not accepting $400 a month. When we were on child support before, it was more than that.
Anything else that you want to tell me, ma'am?
I have to put her on my car insurance, and no, our car insurance are not. Mine's $214 a month here. Like, it is very high here. So, and I have to add Bailey because once she gets her permit. $400, I mean, just for groceries a week with her here is probably close to $200 a week. She doesn't eat
Anything
lunch.
else? Anything else, ma'am?
No.
Sir, do you have any questions for mom regarding the support issues?
Yes. You bought one ticket in 2021 or I'm sorry, 2022 and one ticket in 2022. One-way ticket, is that correct?
No. I bought her ticket to come to Michigan. You bought the Christmas tickets. Then I bought her ticket to one way for spring break. You brought that one. And then you flew her to Florida and I flew her back home. And I have records of all these.
Yeah,
Sir,
So-
it's just question time. So ask your next question.
I understand. I understand. I don't really have any questions.
Anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Any further evidence from the state?
If the court would like to see them, I did prepare exhibits for the health and dental insurance costs, Your Honor.
Anything that you want to present, Mr. Howie, to the court?
No, ma'am.
Can you turn your video back on for me, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it turned off.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Ma'am, is there anything else that you want to tell me?
No, ma'am.
All right. So the order is very specific as to who's responsible for travel. If mom moves out of the county, dad picks up at the front end and mom picks up at the back end. So the order specifically says who's responsible for it.
Okay.
And so it does not address, plane tickets or any of that. So, depending on the move, it could financially affect people. Ma'am, you moved, you're responsible for half the travel.
That is fine.
But because you moved away from dad and you guys were here this whole time, dad has incurred an expense for travel that before he did not have. So the court's going to grant some possession or some credit for that, but not as much as dad would like. There's been clearly a material and substantial change in circumstance in this case, based on the circumstances and the pay. And so the court's calculations of guideline support is $1,067, and that is $5,338 in net resources based on his pay stub. And so the court's going to deviate from guidelines on that due to the travel, because it is an expense that if you had moved to Dallas,
Right.
obviously that would be a $20 trip versus, plane ticket. Plane tickets are not getting any cheaper.
I understand.
And so,
Can I ask you something?
yes, ma'am.
So Bailey tends to go down for every holiday, so am I responsible for every holiday?
You're required to provide half of the travel for the time period that's in the possession order. So
Okay.
the possession order says when you live more than 100 miles apart, it's 1 weekend a month at dad's choice, as long as he gives you proper notice. It's Thanksgiving or Christmas, depending on the year.
Okay.
It's every spring break, and it's 42 days in the summer. So
Okay.
that is what you're technically responsible for on half.
Okay.
Now, if it's less than that, because it's not practical always for a weekend visit during the school year because of, costs and what's going on with her. She gonna
She's
be 16 this year, or is she about to?
She
she
turned
She was-
16 in November.
Okay. And then you've got, she's a teenager. She's going to want to
Yeah.
spend time with her friends and whatever activities she's in. So that's what the order is at a minimum at dad's behest. So if dad wants to see her every month, one time a month, plus the holiday, plus spring break and the 42 days, that's what you're responsible for. But
Okay.
you guys have been working things out overall fairly well.
Yes, we have.
So you got to continue that. The only one that's going to get hurt over this, and you don't have much time left. You've got about 2 years left until she becomes an adult. Then you're only morally responsible to do whatever you guys are able to and that is appropriate based on her efforts and so on and so forth.
Right.
Don't ruin it these last couple of years by child support. So I am gonna order $700 in child support. It's not quite what dad would like. But because of the circumstances, it's less than the 1,067, and that should provide for a substantial amount of travel up there. Sir, the other things in your life, you're just gonna have to figure out how to budget around that, and I'm gonna start that on June 1st versus going backwards.
Thank you.
And we'll go from there. So,
Thank you.
that is the order of the court. Medical and dental will continue through dad. You guys split anything that's not covered 50-50. Make sure that the health insurance is available in Michigan. Because if it's not, it doesn't do any good. And then you have to find insurance that's proper for her. And we'll go from there. But I mean, realistically, move forward. There's got to be help. Because regardless of the circumstances of the move, it's happened. Mom had the choice. Mom had the right to determine where the kiddo's residence was, regardless of geographic restriction. And so you just got to move forward and do the best you can. Do you have any
Thank
questions, Miss Joyce?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Howie?
No, Your Honor.
Miss Carrie Campbell?
No, Your Honor.
All right. She will prepare the order and email it to you. Do you both have availability to do a DocuSign via email today?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, then I will sign it by the end of the day. If I don't get it by 5 o'clock, I will sign it first thing Monday. If either one of you are unhappy with the ruling of the court, you have 3 days from the date I sign it to request a new hearing. It's called a de novo hearing. It's typically heard in the referring court, but your referring court doesn't do family law cases anymore. So I would guess that it would get transferred to county court at law number 4. That's where the majority of that judge's cases have gone in family law. But you just have to file it. We figure that out at the appropriate time. Any questions on that process, ma'am?
No, ma'am.
Sir?
No, Your Honor.
Good luck to you both. And that concludes this hearing.